This afternoon, one of our greatest entertainers in Australia was Jon English, who sadly left us last year, 2016. Jon has left a legacy of memories and works for us to enjoy over the years that are going to come. One of those works is Paris, a rock odyssey. And as a tribute to Jon English, Paris is returning next month, in July, to the stage in Melbourne for just 4 performances. The cast includes Ben Mingay. We spoke to Ben a few months ago here on this program. John Waters was a guest about 2 months ago. Brian Mannix. And Jon's son, Jon Sora-English. And I've got him on the line right now. Jon, nice to have you with us today.
Oh, pleasure to be here, Leigh. Thank you, mate.
Thank you for taking this call. This must be an emotional time for you.
Oh, it's been an emotional 18 months or so, for sure. But we're coming down to crunch time with the show itself, so emotion kind of takes a back seat and you've just got to get on with making sure you do your role as well as you can.
Well, you know your old man will be up there looking down on you, won't you?
Yeah, probably mocking. He was very good at that.
Yeah, good on you. Yeah. I'm sure he will be, but he'll have all of the joys of watching his son there and all the others getting up and perform this marvellous work. It's got quite a history to this, doesn't it? Because there was a CD that came out first with all this, wasn't there, back, some 20-odd years ago, wasn't it?
It was. It came out in 1990.
Yeah.
I remember it well. I was only about 8 at the time.
Yeah.
And he had all these great artists on it, vocal sessions from people like Harry Nielsen. John Waters was in it as well.
Yes.
And he's introducing me to all these people, Philip Quast. And what I really cared about were the two blokes who were on Play School, as in John Waters and Philip Quast.
There you are.
He's saying, oh, look, there's Doc Neeson and there's Barry Humphries. No, sorry, not interested.
At 8 years of age, you wouldn't have understood who they were.
Well, no, and there wasn't much of a culture of celebrity around our household. It was just Dad, and he was very much feet on the ground about the whole thing.
Your dad was one of those sort of people, wasn't he? I mean, to say he wasn't over the top with the entertainment industry. He was very, very much down to earth, as I remember.
Always. Well, he was a bit. He put himself down on occasion, but
yeah.
It was from the right place. He was a humble man because he came from humble origins. He was a 10-pound pom, and he worked in little rock bands through high school in the outer western suburbs of Sydney, and just went in for an audition with Superstar one day and got it. And
yes.
Had one of those bizarre overnight things that seems to be rarer and rarer nowadays.
An overnight success, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fantastic show. What was it like growing up in the family like that? I mean, to say it would have been hard to escape the music.
Well, to be honest, I mean, it's a funny question, that one. By the time I was born, Dad was well ensconced in his career, and I grew up on a lovely, idyllic acreage property outside of Sydney in the Hawkesbury Valley, and he and my mum were just determined to have as normal an upbringing for myself and my siblings as possible. So, look, he had his recording studio downstairs, and he wrote Paris for a 10-year period. So my entire childhood, he was downstairs writing the music for Paris and updating the songs and such.
That took a while.
Just running around on a BMX, feeding the horses.
So tell me, Jonathan, how did you become involved then as an artist?
Funnily enough, I actually took up guitar because my mates in high school were. It's the usual excuse. I didn't really equate it to something I'd do as a job. And I didn't really equate it to something with Dad because at the time he was in Pirates, so he was doing theatre stuff. I just really liked the Seattle sound, like Nirvana and all that sort of stuff, and picked up guitar, and then Dad started offering me weekend work in the road crews. So I'd basically plug all his gear in and set up the stage, and then he got me on stage occasionally to play a couple of songs and grew from there. It's just a good opportunity, really.
It's a wonderful opportunity, isn't it, to have something like that and Dad get you up on stage and say, here he is, it's my son, and a few little chords come out. And
look, it was tremendous fun. I was a bit teenage and hide your face in front of your hair sort of thing.
Yes, of course.
We downplayed the son thing a little bit.
Did you?
Yeah.
It
was, I think, more importantly, it was, looking back on that time, it was just a tremendous privilege to be able to have some time with my father to myself, to be honest, because he was not home often. He worked a lot. And so we'd be this household of 5 that my mother would run, and then suddenly this long-haired, slightly stressed, loud bloke had come around and just stuff up the whole place. It was quite funny. Really.
Hey, listen, son, I'm your father. I'm back.
That's it. He's back. I'm
great. Yeah, great stuff. Tell me how the rehearsals are coming along.
Rehearsals have been very good. I'm still up in Sydney, learning my part by myself, but I've been in full collaboration with Neil Gooding, the director, and Isaac Hayward, who's musical director. And Isaac's an old friend of mine. He's a tremendous talent. So he's been sorting everyone out with the scores and all that. And from what I've heard, everyone's really on the ball with it all. So nice, tight-run little ship down there, I think.
Well, it is indeed. And it's on stage the 13th through to the 15th of July. So it's only around the corner. 2 weeks from today, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only 2 weeks.
Yeah.
There's a bit of panicking going on.
So when do you get down here for the dress rehearsals?
I'm down at the beginning of that week.
Okay.
On the Monday. I've got to actually go to Birdsville, of all places, the week beforehand. I've got the Big Red Bash Festival out there with Leigh Kernaghan.
Oh, you got a big gig here. Okay.
Yeah.
You're a busy chap, aren't you?
I try and keep as busy as I possibly can without going bonkers.
Well, I think in the industry you've got to, don't you? Because if you're not busy, you don't have that work coming in.
I think certainly nowadays you need to rely on a bit of versatility as well.
Yes.
With the diminishing of live music from pretty much the time I was coming of age, you had to have as many different skills. Funnily enough, which is similar to what Dad had done, but by accident. But so now I do sound work for people, or I'll do some production, or some crew work as well as performing.
Have you got your own studio?
Not myself. No, I tend to work in other people's studios. It's a bit expensive.
But from the days when your dad was getting out there and starting out, it's very, very different these days. You can record at home, can't you? You don't have to go and hire that studio anymore. If you've got the equipment, it's so much easier.
Entirely, that's right. Well, the ability to make some scratch demos is very easy for young musicians, which is a perfect opportunity. You basically need a computer and a sound card, and away you go. That's great. If there's more commercial release stuff, that's when it gets into crazy budget territory.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, this one's coming up for you on the 13th. What's next?
For me, I've got to go to America after that. I'm a songwriter as well, so I'm doing some writing sessions with some country artists in Nashville.
Can you tell us who they are?
Well, I'm working with Christy Lamb primarily.
Okay, yeah.
And she's an upcoming Australian country music star. She's working with Leigh as well.
Mm-hmm.
And basically we just go over and write with a bunch of writers over in publishing houses over in Nashville, like the old days.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's great fun.
Yeah, I would.
It'll be an interesting time this year. I've not been to Trump's America yet. See how that goes.
Well, we were in Honolulu last week. I was over there for 2 weeks, and I suppose that's off the mainland, but we spent 2 weeks there, and there wasn't a mention of Trump at all.
No, I assume that would be it too. I think we're a bit hysterical in the news nowadays, and you can be forgiven for thinking that the whole world's falling apart.
I think you're right. Well, we're at the Melbourne Recital Centre at South Bank. You're there on the 13th through to the 15th, and tickets range from $69 each. It's at the Melbourne Recital Centre, and if you'd like to phone for tickets, it's 9699 3333. 9699 3333. Paris, a rock odyssey. Looking forward to meeting you after the show on the night, Bell, and I wish you a safe trip down this way and a fantastic production.
Thank you very much, Leigh. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
You take care.